कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीर बनचारी यमुना तीरा बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीर बनचारी यमुना तीर बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय श्रीनिवास गोविंद वेंकटरमण गोविंद श्रीनिवास गोविंद वेंकटरमण गोविंद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय श्रील गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very warm welcome to everyone. Today we have a very auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti. Shri Gita Jayanti ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Today is also we are fasting for Mokshada Ekadashi. And today we like to discuss about Bhagavad Gita and the placing of Bhagavad Gita in modern life. So before I begin, sincere obeisances and begging for the prayers and mercy of senior Vaishnavas here. There are many sitting here. This class, there is a disclaimer before we begin the class. And the disclaimer is that this class is a verbatim repetition of His Grace HareKrishna Prabhu, who spoke in 2019. The only difference is he spoke in Hindi, I am speaking in English. So that the same content is made available. And little bit of it is, so all glories to him. So when I was searching for Bhagavad Gita, and if you go to ISKCON Desire Tree and search for it, first 3,000 references to Bhagavad Gita comes with Chaitanya Charan Das. Okay, so it's our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, Gita daily, and there are so many references. So much he has spoken on Bhagavad Gita in last 12-15 years. It's phenomenal. So we will see what is Bhagavad Gita, how it is placed, and what are the learnings from Bhagavad Gita. And we are supposed to close by 9:25 because 9:30 there is a another Gita recitation is going to start. So Bhagavad Gita is a glorified literature. Okay, everybody is, that ISKCON has distributed to the tune of more than 40 crore Bhagavad Gitas plus throughout. And this is the largely distributed, paid distributed book. It is not free distribution. It's you ask for a donation and then distribute it. And Bhagavad Gita has always fascinated, everyone. May he is a devotee, even a non-devotee, if they want to defeat God, ultimately they have to defeat word of God, and word of God means Bhagavad Gita. So either one is a devotee, they will follow word of God. Somebody is a non-devotee, they will defeat word of God. But the entire discussion will center around Bhagavad Gita. And this is the place Bhagavad Gita occupies. And there are beautiful stotras glorifying Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So some stotra is Gita Mahatmya Stotra. Srila Prabhupada specifically quotes from, Gita Dhyanam Stotra. So we'll be reciting some shlokas from Gita Dhyanam. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this in Science of Self-Realization book, SSR. So we'll just recite a couple of verses. Parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata narayane swayam vyasena grathitam purana muninam madhye mahabharate Advaitamritavarshiniam bhagavatim ashtadhyashadhyayinim ambatvamanusandadhami bhagavat-gite bhagavad-dveshinim. So this is introduction to Gita Dhyanam, that Parthaya Pratibodhitam. This is specifically spoken for Partha, Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality, Narayanena Swayam, Krishnastu Bhagavana Swayam. He has personally speaking this. Vyasena Grathitam. And Vyasa Muni has compiled this Bhagavad Gita where Madhye Mahabharate, within Mahabharata, Vyasa Muni has put this Bhagavad Gita. It is Amrita Varshinim. It is Advaitam Amrita Varshinim. It is a shower of nectar, Bhagavatim, Ashtadhyashadhayini, and it is made up of 18 chapters, Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. And these are verses written by Shankaracharya. Okay, so here that's why we have this picture of Shankaracharya. Some people say that these verses are also written by Madhusudan Saraswati, who was a very great scholar from Varanasi. So that's why these both pictures are there. Adi Shankaracharya and Madhusudan Saraswati. Srila Prabhupada says written by Adi Shankaracharya. So we'll go to the next verse. Very beautiful verses. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullaravindayata Patra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvallito Jnanamaya Pradipaha. So after glorifying Bhagavad Gita, now here author is offering obeisances to Namastute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe. You know that, offering obeisances to Vyasadev, who has just touched everything under the sun, under the universe. Okay, within the universe, everything is Vyachos Chistam Jagat Sarvam. Vyasa has made everything as a Uchchista. So, and he is a Aravinda Netra. He is the personality with Aravinda Netra. And this light of Bhagavad Gita, Jnanamaya Pradipa, he is lighting. The third shloka is very beautiful. So now how Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. Now this is the description of how Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. So when somebody is speaking, there is a attire in which one will speak, right? In the modern language, they say that dress before you address. Dress before you address means that you have to dress accordingly before you address the audience. And here Krishna is going to address, the entire universe with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. But what is Krishna's attire in speaking Bhagavad Gita? Okay. So very beautiful verse. Prapanna parijataya totra vaitraika panaye jnana mudraya krishnaya Gitamrita duhe namaha. So Supreme Lord Krishna, he enters Prapanna parijataya. Parijataya means like a blissful kalpataru vriksha he enters. Parijata also means Mahalakshmi. He is the shelter of Mahalakshmi. He enters. And what is the entry of Krishna? Later we'll see how Krishna enters in Bhagavad Gita. Although he is going to speak Bhagavad Gita, in one hand he has the reins of the horses and another hand is Jnana Mudra. So this is, the positioning in Bhagavad Gita that simultaneously is controlling the horses and speaking to Arjuna. Arjuna is sitting behind. And Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya. And he is Gita Amrita Duhe. He is doing the Dohan of Gita Amrita. and I offer obeisances to this Krishna. Now, is not any Krishna. Which is this Krishna? This Krishna who is having one mudra as Jnana mudra and another mudra he is having holding the reins of the horses. So this is how, this Krishna offering obeisances to him. Next are very famous verses. So we'll recite this one. Sarvopanishado gavo Dogda Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. So Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gitopanishad. And Gitopanishad, if we compare all the Upanishads to the cow, Sarva Upanishado Gavo, Dogdha Gopalanandanaha, and one who is Dogdha, milking the cow, is Gopal Nandan, Sri Krishna. Partha Vatsa, and the calf is the Partha, and other Sudhir Bhokta, that means other, the devotees of the Lord, and Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. That Dugdha coming is the Gita Amrita, and this is when you compare all the Upanishads. So the quintessence of all the Upanishads is Gitamritam, right? Dugdha is Bhagavad Gita. The last one in the series. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsacharuna Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So all obeisances to Lord Sri Krishna, who is son of Vasudeva. He is Devadev, master of all the Devatas. Kamsacharuna Mardanam. And he is Devaki Paramanandam. Devaki also refers to Devaki Mata, and Yashoda's another name is also Devaki. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So he is the Supreme Personality, he is Jagadguru. So this is how the Supreme Lord is glorified in Gita Dhyanam. And there are many Gita Mahatmya verses, and there are many verses about this. And let us see Krishna's position when he is speaking Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is born apparently, Krishna is never born, Krishna, we know that. Srila Prabhupada explains, Lord Krishna is like the sun, and it is sun never rises or sun never sets. Sun is sun. But based on our position, sometimes we may see, sun is rising, and somebody on the other side of the earth, they will see sun is setting. But is the sun rising or setting? No, sun is sun. Ever Tejo, my personality in the universe, the sun is sun, but according to our position, we see sun is rising or sun is setting. Similarly, Supreme Lord Krishna is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he appears and disappears in this world. And the appearance and the disappearance of the Lord, they are very, very special. And here we see the appearance of the Lord. The Lord appears in the Kshatriya Kul. Then he is raised in the Vaishya Kul. He is doing the activity of the Shudra Kul. Right, he is Partha Sarathi. Partha Sarathi means he is actually, the Sutaputra. Right, the entire Mahabharata, a portion of it happened with that word, Sutaputra. And Krishna is taking that very same position, and his activity is of a highest Brahmana, giving the transcendental knowledge. So, appeared as a Kshatriya, raised as a Vaishya, performing activity which is like Partha Sarathi, and the activity is Vande Krishnam Jagadgurum. So that's why this shloka is very famous shloka. Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vaitreka Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. So Bhagavad Gita is a literature, right? And Srila Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are two types of literature. One is the nasty literature, another is the glorified literature. And Bhagavad Gita comes under the category of glorified literature. Now Bhagavad Gita is just one book. But if you see the history of humanity, you will be surprised to know that how many books are written till now. Okay. So till date, till now, till the time this is typed, the total number of books written are 129,864,880 books. So that means these many number of books are written till now. So 130 million means to the degree of 13 crore books are written. Single title books. 13 crore books are written till now. If you are interested in newspaper, daily there are to the tune of 6,600 newspapers are published every day. And their circulation every year is 395 million print copies. We are not talking about digital copies. Print copies, they are distributed to the tune of 400 million copies. And if you consider, every newspaper has at least 10 pages, that means per day, 4 billion newspaper pages are distributed across the globe. And Bhagavad Gita is just one book, 700 pages. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, outshines entire material creation. Because, whenever you go for book distribution, what do you say? You say that, you buy newspaper. What is the cost of newspaper? These days, newspaper also costs 10 rupees per day. 1 month newspaper is 300 rupees. Buy this Bhagavad Gita, it is just 150 rupees, half the price. What happens to your newspaper? Next day, it just becomes the raddi, right? It just goes 9 rupee kg. If you are lucky, 10 rupee kg. Okay. So, that is the value of the newspaper. But value of Bhagavad Gita is, in spite of publishing so much of material literature, Bhagavad Gita, the original 700 verses, outshine all the material literature. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is the most translated book. Most translated book. There are 3 books actually which are most translated. One is Bhagavad Gita, another is Bible, and then third is one Chinese book. But within this, Bhagavad Gita is most translated because devotees are translating the book in a language which is spoken by just 30-40 people or 80, 90, 100 people. And you may wonder, 40 log hi language mein baat karte hain. So, who will going to buy that book? If you publish, and who is going to buy? That is not the idea. So when we were discussing with BBT devotees, they said that is not the idea. The idea is, if there is a world war, and if everything is destroyed and some pockets of humanity remains alive with their own 30-40 people speaking that language, Bhagavad Gita should be available in that language. Jai, ISKCON devotees. What a thought process. Because they say that our books are going to last for how many years? Yeah, minimum of 10,000 years. These are the law books. And so many things are going to happen in 10,000 years. If you just see last 400 years, so many things have happened. Last 100 years, so many things have happened. Last 50, 20, 10, 5, 1 year, so many things have happened. Right? So who is going to extrapolate and see what all things are going to happen in 10,000 years? And devotees are prepared. Devotees are prepared by, distributing and translating Bhagavad Gita in, you just find out a language and translate it. Okay, so therefore Bhagavad Gita is the most translated book. Another beauty is Bhagavad Gita is most commented book. Like acharyas will come and they give a commentary. And Bhagavad Gita, you will see the numbers there, minimum, these are the authorized and very great personalities writing the commentary. 81 commentaries are written on Bhagavad Gita by different acharyas. We will be seeing, some commentaries of the acharyas, at least the names of the commentaries. The second most commented book is Vishnu Purana, and that is 18. Look at the stark difference between number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is 81 commentaries, and this is minimum. Okay, certain commentaries are not considered. And the second one is 18. So this is how Bhagavad Gita is placed as most commented book. In fact, we will see later that somebody has to prove that he is a scholar, he has to write commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Because they will ask, you are a scholar, commentary in Bhagavad Gita pe? Get lost. You cannot stand only as a scholar. You may come from any sampradaya. You may come from Shankar sampradaya with, pure Advaitavad. But you have to write a commentary on Bhagavad Gita for you to be accepted as scholar. So Bhagavad Gita is that kind of a benchmark. Okay, Bhagavad Gita sets that benchmark. And this is a beautiful book which is of philosophy and practice. So this is Bhagavad Gita. Another thing is, the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is not the book of commandments, it is a book of choices. Like many literature, they will say that these are the famous book of 10 commandments are there. Thou shalt not do this. These are the book of commandments and you have to follow this commandment. If you don't, you will go eternally to hell. But Bhagavad Gita is a book of choices. Lord Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, this is what this is what the knowledge is. My recommendation is sarvadharman parityajya, but if you want to go to hell, yathechasi tatha kuru. You are free to go to hell, my dear Arjuna. This is love. It is not that you put a gun and say, tu haan kar ya na kar. That is not a love, right? That is just you try to exploit somebody. Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, I have spoken Bhagavad Gita to you. Do you want me to speak Bhagavad Gita once again? I'll speak it once again. But still, there is no compulsion on you to follow Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, right. So therefore in this book, there are more discussion than direct instruction. There are instructions in Bhagavad Gita. There are direct instructions. But there is lot of discussion. There is lot of scope for doubt in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is saying, in the very, very third chapter, Arjuna says, Krishna, you said, fight, get up and fight, and now you are saying sthita prajna. What kind of fight I will do being sthita prajna? So Arjuna is confused there and he's saying that you are saying Sthita Pragya means give up the fight. I will just become Sthita Pragya. And then, continues Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, the chapters will continue like that. So there is a scope of discussion. You can doubt Krishna, you can question Krishna. Krishna is saying, I explained this knowledge to Vivashwan. And Arjuna is laughing, Vivashwan. Hey Krishna, come on, yaar, Vivashwan kaise? You are of my age. How can you explain this knowledge to Vivashwan millions of years ago? And Krishna says, no, Arjuna, it is not like that. Bahunemi vetitani, janmani tavacha Arjuna, tanyaham vedya sarvani, natvam vetta parantapa. Both you and me, we have passed on many, many lifetimes. I remember all of them being the Supreme Personality, but you have forgotten. So there is a scope to question God, there is a scope to discuss with God, there is a scope to not to follow God even after the entire discussion of Bhagavad Gita, which is exclusively for Krishna. Barabar hai na? So this is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not some gunpoint, that. No, Bhagavad Gita is a book of choices. So Krishna will explain knowledge, Krishna will give choices, and Krishna will explain consequences of those choices. My dear Arjuna, if you do like this, you will go here. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya guna vrittistha, adhogachanti tamasa, you have to decide where you want to go. This is the knowledge, decision is yours. Right? So therefore, therefore Bhagavad Gita becomes very, very appealing and very reasonable. Right? It is not that you have to follow. So in the Sanatana Dharma, there is therefore scope of somebody can be atheist also. If you go to Nasik, there is one chowk which is called as Charvak Chowk. Right? So what is this Charvak Chowk? Charvak is the person who said that, Yah bhasmi bhutasya dehasya kim punaragamano bhavet. Yes, granam krutva, ghritam pibet. Take the credit card, enjoy your life, die with the credit. Kisne dekha hai baad mein kya hone wala hai? That is Charvak philosophy, right? Entire credit card industry is based on Charvak philosophy, by the way. Okay. So these are Charvak cards. So, but he is also considered as a saint. Okay, no problem. This is your mat. You are also welcome. Okay, come, we will discuss, we will debate. In debate, we will conclude. So therefore, this is Bhagavad Gita becomes very, very appealing and very reasonable. And now let us look at the volume of Bhagavad Gita. Right? Sometimes people say, wow, your Bhagavad Gita, this and that. So volume of Bhagavad Gita, I think that page is coming later. So there are primarily, if you see like that, there is a Eastern literature and there is a Western literature. So Western literature, they also have Mahakavya. And that Mahakavya is the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. And this Iliad and the Odyssey, this Mahakavya, if you multiply this Mahakavya by 7 times, it will be still lesser than Mahabharata. Now, just look at it. The greatest Mahakavya of the Western civilization, if you multiply it by 7 times, it will be still less than Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is part of this Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is just 700 shlokas. It is not that, you have to tell something very important. That means you have to give a huge class. Not like that. Bhagavad Gita, just like one day Srila Prabhupada, they said that, Prabhupada, they have given us radio time. And Prabhupada was very excited. Prabhupada said, wow, radio, we will go and preach on radio. And Prabhupada was so excited, the devotees were, little nervous to tell. The time given is 2 minutes. And they thought that Prabhupada will become very very unenthusiastic. And Prabhupada said, 2 minutes, we can explain entire Krishna consciousness in 2 minutes. So this is being crisp about Krishna consciousness. So entire knowledge, right? Whereas some of the other literatures, they simply talk of some story here and there, kind of a storyish kind of a book. Bhagavad Gita is hardcore philosophy with lot of emotions, directly addressing both philosophy and practice, and entire knowledge in just 700 shlokas. So on the expanse perspective, it is the greatest of the literature, Mahabharata. It is part of Mahabharata. And from the delivery perspective, it is just 700 shlokas. Okay. And again, it is Gita. Gita means it is Song of God. So there are certain specialities of Bhagavad Gita. What are the specialities? That certain verses of Bhagavad Gita, they come in Lut Lakar. And certain verses, they come in Lot Lakar. Now, I had a Sanskrit in 8th, 9th, 10th, and then, I had no guts to continue with the Sanskrit. But, Lut Lakar and Lot Lakar in easiest language means that Lut Lakar means very affirmative, instructive verses. That, you have to do this. And Lot Lakar means the verses which are like informative verses, which are for your information. You Act on it, don't act on it, and decide on yourself. Okay, but this is informative verses and instructive verses. So there are 2 verses here for the sample, we'll just recite. So first we'll see Lut Lakar and Lot Lakar. Okay, so this is the Lot Lakar, the instruction verses. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayichyami ma shuchaha. So this is the Lot Lakar. This is an instructive verse. Okay. And then simultaneously, Krishna also gives some knowledge-based verses. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapte dhirastatra namuyati. So this is a discussion-based, knowledge-based verse which is like Lut Lakar. So Bhagavad Gita has both instructions and discussions, but the instructions are very, very small, hardly 5% of the verses. And largely they are the discussion verses. Now the same book, Bhagavad Gita, discusses about the goal of life and the way to attain that goal of life. Right? What is the goal of life? Person has a goal of, and how to attain the goal of life. The same book is going, there is a speech of the Lord, and at the end of that speech, Krishna is motivating Arjuna to act. Sometimes after long philosophical discussion, you generally want to take a good rest. At least you want to take a nap because you are just tired of the philosophical discussion. But after this philosophical discussion, Arjuna is excited and he is like, fully into action. And we have seen that this is considered as a benchmark of scholarship. There is a Shaiva Sampradaya Acharya, his name is Abhinav Gupta. And this Abhinav Gupta he was very accomplished Acharya, but in one of the debate they said that you call yourself Acharya, but have you written commentary on Bhagavad Gita? And he said no, and they dismissed him. They said that you are no way you are Acharya. So then he went out, wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and while writing commentary of Bhagavad Gita, because he was from Shankar Math, he concluded Shaiva, as the Bhagavad Gita, but still he was accepted. Yeah, you are Acharya now because you have commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And you will be very surprised. Similarly, some of the very accomplished and veteran, like, the movie stars and the, Digdarshak, what do you call Digdarshak? Directors of the movie, they want to, ek baar to life mein Mahabharat pe movie nikalna hai ya Ramayana pe movie nikalna hai. Right? Their benchmark is Mahabharat. Of course, they will do all kind of mess in that Mahabharat. But the point is, the benchmark is Mahabharat. Because there are so many characters, so many storylines, so many heroes, side heroes, one story leading to another, so many climaxes, one after another, right? So similarly, Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, they count as the benchmark of, the benchmark books. And this is the best self-help book, right? What is the condition of Arjuna before Bhagavad Gita? What is the condition of Arjuna after Bhagavad Gita? This is the self-help. Nowadays we have so many self-help books, Nowadays, and when we are talking about nowadays, we are talking prior to ChatGPT. With advent of AI, literally you can write a book like, before you clap, you can write a book. It just depends on your internet connection. Okay. And whether you are a paid or a free subscriber. That's it. So but this book, this is the best self-help book. If you want to really help somebody or oneself, this is the book, Bhagavad Gita. It is neither a mental nor a hustle. Mental means simply sitting, a mental speculator thinking, who is God? Like, Prabhupada was in a university and there the professor, Prabhupada disciples, they were in the university and their professor, they had a cigar in the hand and smoking and saying, so Krishna said, we have a soul. So where is the soul? And the devotee said, unless you drop the cigarette, you will not understand where is the soul. And he said, what my cigar has to do with the soul? And the conversation just went in some different direction. So Bhagavad Gita is not some mental speculation. And Bhagavad Gita neither is a hustle, simply acting, just move, act, like, we see life of Shakuni. Constantly, scheming one after another, constantly acting. Bhagavad Gita is combination of both. There is deep philosophy and very simple action. So when you give something very deep, and the output is very simple, you are considered as very great. Like Einstein. Einstein gave a very deep philosophy. theory of relativity, which is now questioned, by the way. What was the output? E is equal to mc square. So very deep philosophy. If you sit and discuss quantum physics, very deep. Outcome is very simple. E is equal to mc square. You can write on your t-shirt and you can move around. So consider the genius. Yeah. Deep philosophy, simple outcome. Krishna is giving the deepest philosophy. And what is the outcome? Manmana, bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru. A very, very simple outcome. That is the combination of deep depth of the philosophy and simplicity of the action. We have seen that this is the book of choices. But although Krishna is giving a choice, Krishna is giving a warning and again giving a choice. Now, Krishna is not something like, you just type a question to AI and say that what will happen, and AI will say you will die. And, then they will say that's it, you will die. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna will speak about the choices. Krishna will speak about the consequences. Krishna will speak about Krishna will warn of those consequences, and again he will speak back to choices. Okay, so beautiful verses these are. So we'll just recite this one. Macchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atachetvam ahankaran nashroshyasi vinashyasi. So Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, if you hear what I am speaking, macchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyati, that you will be delivered by my mercy, by Krishna's mercy. But out of ahankar, if you don't hear and do whatever you want to do, you will be vinashyasi, you will be destroyed. And then Krishna says this, itite jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram maya vimrishyaida sheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. So many people like this part of Bhagavad Gita very much. Yathechasi tatha kuru. That jo karna hai wo karo. Yathechasi tatha kuru. But Bhagavan is. But Lord says, do whatever you want to do after understanding Bhagavad Gita. Right? When you fully understand Bhagavad Gita, then do whatever you want to do. So Krishna gives choice, Krishna gives warning, and still, out of the pure love, he gives the freedom of that choice. Now, Bhagavad Gita is a literature which is directly spoken by Krishna. Now, this is also considered as a very big thing. Like Bible, it's a holy grantha, and we respect Bible. Just to discuss from the discussion point of view, Bible is not directly spoken by God. Bible is spoken by Son of God, Jesus. And you will be very surprised to know that in the New Testament, there are very few verses from the Jesus directly. Most of the verses are from the Saint Paul, who compiled the teaching 400 years later the Jesus time. Okay. 400 years later, the time of the Jesus, Bhagavad Gita was, this Bible was compiled, and most of the Bible is the Saint Paul Uvacha. He is speaking about those things. And there are multiple versions, because some say, no, Saint Paul did not say this, he said this, and he said, no, not this, he said this. And there are so many, huge kind of pantha and sampradaya within even Christianity. So Bible is not directly spoken even by Son of God, okay, by Jesus. Very few verses in New Testament. The other literature, it is also not spoken directly by God. It is the messenger of God that, those things were spoken to the prophet. Now the Vedas, they come from God, but they are also not spoken by God. They come from the Uchchavas of God. Kapalbhati. So when the God does something like that, the Vedas come out. And they are spoken by Yagyavalkya and many other rishis like that. They have spoken the Vedas. Now it is Bhagavad Gita which is spoken by Krishna personally. Mukha Padmasya. So Krishna as such, or even when Lord Vishnu comes, he doesn't speak so much. He's not that speaking. So there is a rule of speaking when, His Grace Radhesham Prabhu, he keeps our voice training program. He says this rule. The rule is, you should speak in such a way that people will hear you. And you should hear in such a way that people will be encouraged to speak. Right? Very beautiful it is. You should speak in such a way that people hear. And you should hear in such a way that people are encouraged to speak. And so you will find very few verses from directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead speaking. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Very, very few verses in Bhagavatam. But in Bhagavad Gita, the beauty is all of Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. Entirety of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, you leave aside verses of Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, few verses, and but Bhagavad Gita, and therefore, this is considered as direct speech from Krishna. Directly, Krishna has spoken this. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is very specifically glorified. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanyai Shastra Vistarai Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukhapadmad Vinisrita. So this is Swayam Mukha Padmanabhasya. So Padmanabha, through his Mukha, Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada in one of the commentaries says, Ganga Devi comes from the lotus feet of the Lord and Bhagavad Gita comes from the lotus mouth of the Lord. And Prabhupada says, of course, there is no difference between lotus feet and lotus mouth of the Lord. The Lord is supreme, but still, Bhagavad Gita is coming from lotus mouth of the personality of Godhead. And therefore, this is even more special. So when we celebrate Gita Jayanti today, when we are distributing Bhagavad Gita today, we should be distributing this, that this is direct, Krishna's direct love letter to you. You first ask somebody, want a love letter? And God's love letter. This is Krishna's direct love letter. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita comes as a part of Mahabharata. We have seen this. This is the longest kavya. And Mahabharata, that 700 verses are Bhagavad Gita. And it is said that just like the sun is illuminating the universe, similarly Bhagavad Gita is illuminating the entire Mahabharata. So before Bhagavad Gita, the heroes are Pandavas. But when Bhagavad Gita comes, the battle of Kurukshetra comes, suddenly the spotlight shifts. And from Pandavas, they become Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, so this is how Bhagavad Gita is very specifically placed. Now, Mahabharata is such a great literature, but there are 4 versions of Mahabharata. And it is said that, Devalokas, they have a Mahabharata which is like 30 lakh verses. Can you imagine 30 lakh verses? Our Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. 5 times that is 1 lakh. And 6 times that is 30 lakhs. Such a scope for book distribution, right? So Devaloka, Mahabharata is considered 30 lakh verses. Pitraloka, the same Mahabharata is 15 lakh verses. Yaksha and Gandharvas, they study 14 lakh verses, and Manushas, because they are in Kali Yuga and a lot of other qualifications, Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya and everything. Therefore, Kali Yuga, it is only 1 lakh verses. So, how much is Mahabharata? The total Mahabharata is 60 lakh verses. Only 1 lakh are given to us just to study. And while studying this 1 lakh verses, only we get so much of bewildered. Right? But the overall Bhagavad Gita, overall Mahabharata stands for 60 lakh verses. Okay, so this is how, just like the sun illuminates the entire universe, Bhagavad Gita is illuminating, entire Mahabharata, and through Mahabharata, all the Vedic literatures. So while we see what is Bhagavad Gita, how long Bhagavad Gita is, how big Bhagavad Gita is, how, translate, what is the placement of Bhagavad Gita, where the Bhagavad Gita is placed. Sometimes when you want to say something important, then you have to place it also accordingly. Not that, you suddenly, hi, hello, and you just say, E is equal to MC square. No, you have to create some Parshvabhumi, you have to create some ground, and, Bhagavad Gita is very beautifully placed. Bhagavad Gita is placed, the setting is between politics and the war. So before Bhagavad Gita there is a huge politics. Look at the politics of Mahabharata. It is mind-blowing politics. There is, there is a king. Now the king, he is Dushyan, Shantanu. He goes to his wife is Ganga Devi, and Ganga Devi has 7 children. And as soon as the child is born, she just dubofy the child. And the 8th child, this king becomes, what a horrible thing it is. How can you just kill the child like this? You are supposed to be Ganga. Purity personified in your doing such sinful activity. Ganga Devi says, no, there is a story. The story is, you read in Mahabharata, we have no time. Okay. So, and then 8th child, and he says that because you obstructed me, keep the 8th child, and that child is Bhishma. And now Bhishma, one day he says his father is very, very morose. And he says, my dear father, why are you so morose? You have a flourishing kingdom, you have this, that, and then he finds out, his father is in love with one Matsya Kanya. And then he goes to Matsya Kanya and he says that, my father loves you so much. Please come and become a queen. And she says, no, I can come and become a queen, but you will become the next king. You have to promise me that my children will become next king. And he said, yeah, I promise you, your children will become next king. And then he said, no, that promise is okay. But your children may take over my children. And this will be a different Aghadi and Yuti. Barabar hai na? So she said, no, now only you tell me. And then he said, you are worried about my children? Bhishma says that he takes a vow to remain celibate throughout his life. And there is Bhishma, flowers, demigods are showering flowers on Bhishma. And this is happening. The son born is Vichitra Virya, who is a henpecked husband, unable to rule kingdom, constantly into drunk, bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam. He dies without a child, and now Satyavati says, my dear Bhishma, you please marry. And Bhishma said, I cannot marry like that. My vow is my vow. And Bhishma, she said, no, you took a vow for this, our Kula. Why you are to continue with the vow? He said, no, nothing doing. We have to find out some another way. And then she says, oh, another story starts. Look at the story in story. Previously, some 20 years back, there was a serial called as Chandrakanta. I don't know if you remember. After Mahabharata, that serial started. Such a crap serial it was, From one story, they will go to Guha, they will go some cave. And from cave, they will enter some another universe and another story. But Mahabharata, it's such a beautiful one story after another. And she says that one day I was just crossing the river. Suddenly Parashar Muni got attracted to me and he said, this is the time to appear. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has to appear now through me, and there is nobody other than you. I have to, the child has to come through you. And she was wondering, my God, what is this happening? It's full daytime. He said nothing day and night. He converts day into night. And there is Vyasadeva is born. He just born as the youthful personality. He walks out and he said that, my dear mother, anytime you need me, just call me. Just say Vyasa, Vyasa, Vyasa 3 times. I am in front of you. And she says, my dear Bhishma, now I can call Vyasa and he can impregnate Amba, Ambika, Ambalika, which were, by only Ambika and Ambalika were there. Amba had another story. We have frankly no time. She is in love with Shalva and, Bhishma picks up all these 3 girls and she said, I have already given my heart to somebody. He says, okay, you go. Shalva says, no, you are touched by somebody. I will not accept. She comes to Bhishma and Bhishma says, I will not marry. She said, either you have to marry or I'll kill you. All Bollywood is in Mahabharata. You look at the story. There is no story of Bollywood like this in Mahabharata. And, that is another story. She goes, the Amba starts doing tapasya. She pleases Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva says, next life you will be born as Shikhandi. And she is born as he and he becomes Shikhandi. Gender transformation. Very authentic gender transformation. Not like, you have some insurance companies and pharma companies and some selfish doctors coming in and some teenage people. Teen boys, 12, 13, 14 in America, and they are saying, Mama, I feel like I'm a boy, I feel like a girl. And he's less than 12, he cannot vote, he cannot drive, he should not drink, but he cannot drink. But he can change his gender permanently. And 85% of the gender transformation surgeries, after 3 years, the children say, Mama, I again want to become boy. And the permanent damage is done twice to the body. And this is how people are just killing. But here is another way. Prabhupada said, easy way to other planets. So easy way of gender she is gender transformed. And here the story goes, now there is Dhritarashtra, he was about to be coronated, but Bhishma says to Satyavati, no, Dhritarashtra, if he is coronated, I don't know, he is controlled by Shakuni. Before we coronate Dhritarashtra, we will make Vidura as Mahamantri. So Vidura is made Mahamantri, and before Dhritarashtra takes the vow, Vidura says, stop. In the capacity of Mahamantri, I have to order you that he cannot become a king because he is not capable physically. And then Pandu becomes the king. Pandu is so submissive. He says that, Bhaiya, he's like Bharat Maharaj. He says that, Bhaiya, you are actually the king. For the name's sake, I am sitting on the throne, but you are the personality. And Dhritarashtra is like in envy within himself. He is like boiling with envy. And this is the politics before Mahabharata. Look at the politics. What kind of politics is it? And after Mahabharata, there is war. And what kind of war? How many people died in, ongoing Middle East war? Israel is attacking somebody in the Middle East, 50,000. Okay, some another war, 60,000. 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 60 lakhs. The Holocaust figure is around, official figure is 60 lakhs by Hitler to the Jews. Unofficial figure is 1.2 crore. In Mahabharata, 64 crore soldiers died on the battlefield. And these 64 crore soldiers dying. If you are horrified by the news, 64 crore Prabhuji soldiers, there is good news. What is the good news? The good news is, all those people died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, went back home, back to Godhead. There is a beautiful verse. Tathaiva channe naraloka veera ya ahave krishna mukharavindam netrai pibanti nayanabhiramam parthastra-putam padamapureta. Parthastra-putam, they got purified. Netrai pibanti, they were drinking, through their netra, the lotus face of Radha Vrindavan Chandra, standing Krishna himself in front of them. Nayan Partha Padamapureta. They went back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, they went back to Vaikuntha Loka, not to Brahma Jyoti. Because at the time of their death, there was appreciation of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada's commentary, Prabhupada's purport, very, very specific. Prabhupada writes, they went back home, back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha. So this is between politics and between the war. Now, people are interested in politics. People are interested in war, both, right? Here is some war clip. So this is one of the very famous war clip of Kargil War 1999. So this is, the Kargil War. This is politics.
Sorry.
So, this is politics. Now, devotees this time, they got so interested in politics that RSS people went back to Samajkaran, but devotees are yet to come out of politics. Right? Some of us, like me, means, So, the point is, it is very interesting. War is interesting. Politics is interesting. Bhagavad Gita is in between politics and war. This is how, because we have to attract Kali Yuga attention. That means, Kali Yuga attention means, you have to do something crazy like that. Between politics, Tufan politics, and terrific war, Bhagavad Gita is placed. Bhagavad Gita is still better placed than in Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga, there is a constant war. What is the war? Within oneself, one can see, one's nature is different. One day, one doctor, I was meeting one doctor and he said, Prabhuji, actually I'm going through a big midlife crisis. And I asked him, the midlife crisis means, when you have everything, still you feel dissatisfied. That is called as midlife crisis, in a simplest possible terms. Thinking that, I could have been done this or I have done that, kind of a thing. So this doctor, he said, मुझे ना गायक बनना था. But because I was good in studies, I went to medicine and I became doctor. And because I was good in management, currently I am managing hospital. So his nature is different, singing. His training is a doctor and his activity is management. So in Kali Yuga, this is largely the case. Their people's nature, training and occupation, they are completely different. Arjuna, that was not the case. Arjuna, by nature, he was a Kshatriya. By training, he was a Kshatriya. And by action, he was a Kshatriya. Still, he was in problem at the time. So war is inevitable, right? And that's why we see, so many wars keep on going in the houses. Chota war, Motha war, and some Sas Bahu war, this and that war. And you understand, many, many types of wars keep on going. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is relevant in war-like situation. And same also is with the politics. Now when this Bhagavad Gita, when Lord has to enter in Bhagavad Gita, Lord has a very different entry. Generally modern times, whenever you have a hero entering, hero's entry is scripted, you will have huge amount of attention on how the hero is entering. It's not that the hero will just enter sidewalk. Hero will enter in a very specific way. We have no time for this entry of the hero. So, this is the latest entry. So this is what the hero's entry is. We really are short of time. But how Krishna enters Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Tatashvetairhayair mahati syandane sthitau madhava pandavaschaiva divyau shankau pradadmatu. Krishna is entering as the chariot driver. Tata shvetair hayair yukte. White horses, haya, horses, shveta. Mahati syandane sthitau. He's sitting on a great chariot. Madhava pandavaschaiva. Beautiful rhyming. Madhava and Pandava, they are entering. Divyau, they began to blow. Shankau pradadmatu. So previously the shankhas are blown by, Bhishma, Drona, Pramukhatha. All these personalities, they have blown their shankha. Tumultuous sound. And now, here is the entry, 1.14, that is the entry of Lord Krishna in Mahabharata, in Bhagavad Gita. So this is how the Supreme Lord is entering inside in the Bhagavad Gita. And, here is the entry.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham.
Okay, so this is entry of the Supreme Lord in Bhagavad Gita. So now the Supreme Lord in Bhagavad Gita, there are the aspect of the Supreme Lord he reveals in Bhagavad Gita are the greatness and the sweetness of the Lord. Now, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu speaks very beautifully on this part that, many times people focus on the greatness of the Lord. If you don't do like this, this will happen to you. You will go to hell, you will go to eternally hell, and those kind of. But apart from greatness, there is a sweetness of the Lord. The same Lord. Lord is great and Lord is sweet. But Bhagavad Gita, there is more focus on Krishna's being the sweeter Lord. Okay, so that my sweet Lord, that is Krishna's greatness. And the same personality carries both greatness and sweetness. Like sometimes, if somebody is very big person, you are really, it's very unapproachable. But Krishna is the greatest of the great and is the sweetest of the sweet. Okay, there is a very beautiful verse here. Sarathya parshada sevana sakhya dautyai virasana anugamaнаstavana pranaman snigdheshu pandushu jagat pranitim cha vishnor bhaktim karoti nrupatis charanaravinde. Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, who is the universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting the posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of Pandavas. Obeying them like a servant, offering obeisances like the one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. So here, Lord is taking the position. What is the position? Chariot driver. Position of night watchman. Right? Night watchman. Even in cricket, night watchman means some temporary batsman they will send for being a night watchman. They 2 दिन over खेल लो, दिन पूरा कर लो, and then next day we will have the the real players playing the match. So night watchman is very, very, very low, very low connotation there it is. But the Lord took all these roles And what Krishna is proving by this entry, Krishna is proving his Bhakta Vatsalata. This is the greatest quality of Krishna, and that quality is, I am Bhakta Vatsal. Above everything else, above my position, above my knowledge, the knowledge I cannot give you, what I stand for Bhakta Vatsalata. And here you can see, so many instances from Mahabharata. Everywhere you will see hand of Krishna there. So to the degree one is surrendered like Pandavas, to that degree one will have Krishna's hand in their life. Bhagavad Gita is part of Smriti, because actually there are three major divisions of the Vedas, like Shruti, Smriti and Nyaya. So Shruti is Veda and Upanishad, Smriti is the supporting literature, Puranas, and Bhagavad Gita comes as the part of Itihas, actually, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So sometimes Bhagavad Gita is treated as Smriti Shastra, but still it is the essence of all the Upanishad, Sarvo Upanishado Gavo. Why? Because there is depth in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not just going to talk about stories. Bhagavad Gita, we talk about 5 solid subject matters. What are the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Crystal clear clarity. There is no if, but, aisa, vaisa, nothing. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. There are 700 shlokas, and Bhagavad Gita will talk about Atma Vigyan, Triguna Siddhanta. How the Bhagavad Gita is so encompassing from small to the great. Same Bhagavad Gita talks about Krishna instructing to sun god, and same Bhagavad Gita talks about Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, how the universes are created and destroyed. And same Bhagavad Gita says, my dear Arjuna, when you are eating your food, it should be in Sattva-gun. Look at the literature. From eating in Sattva-gun, I is saying, Arjuna, aisa bhed vada pav mat khao. Thoda sa fresh prasadam khao. And the same Bhagavad Gita is discussing, something like the quantum physics. Look at the literature, look at the encompass, the depth, from the smallest of the small topic, which is very personal to the personality, to the greatest of the great, which is talking about the creation and destruction of universe. Bhagavad Gita entirely covers from the micro to the macro aspect. So this is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita ultimately is a book of transformation. Transformation, complete transformation. Like Arjuna is feeling, 2 times Arjuna feels that transformation. Once he's here, we'll just recite. Before the battlefield, Arjuna sees his own relatives. And sometimes, we just take the things on face value. Relative khada hai, maro usko. But Arjuna, for him, Drona and Bhishma, they were so dear to Arjuna. Arjuna used to call Bhishma as Tata. And Bhishma used to say, no Arjuna, I'm not your father. Don't call me Tata. As father, I can call you Tata as a grandson, because you are a very, very dear one. But Arjuna was in love with Bhishma. And Bhishma, Drona, what the knowledge that he did not give to Ashwathama, he gave to his own son. Right? He gave to Arjuna. He is not giving it to his own son, Ashwathama. He is giving to Arjuna. And now Arjuna has to stand in front of them. Like recently, there was a very delicate situation. One devotee came and he said, Prabhuji, dekho na, my mother is not asking the property haqq to her brother. So, a typical thing that, that brothers and sisters, the property is to be equally divided. And this sister is saying, how can I, me dadala kasam manu ki malai thodi property paise? If mother is not able to do, even if the lady is not able to do that to brother, here what Arjuna is supposed to do? Kill Bhishma and Drona and all other great warriors. And it is not that because they are hating Arjuna means Pandavas are also hating them. No. They love, Yudhishthir Maharaj used to call Duryodhan as Suyodhan and Dushasan as Sushasan. Because he said that, this is the wrong scripting from Shakuni, that you are Duryodhan, you are Dushasan. For me, you are still Suyodhan. For me, you are still Sushasan. This is how positive, our Ajatashatru Yudhishthir Maharaj was. But that was not the response. So this is like, very tough situation, and Arjuna completely broke down. Right? So Arjuna says, Veputascha sharire me Romaharshascha jayate Gandivam samstrate hastat Tvakchaiva paridayate. So he's saying, my dear Krishna, Veputascha sharire me, my hands are trembling, my body is trembling. Roma harshasya jayate, my hairs are standing on end. Gandivam samstrate hastat. The mighty Gandiva, I'm just losing the grip on Gandiva. Tvak chaiva paridhyate, and my entire body is burning. I cannot stand. It is like, you go for that final World Cup match and Virat Kohli is saying, baller dekh ke mera hat se balla nikal raha hai. And he's just sweating. I mean, this we can relate more, right? So that is the case. And what is and then Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita. And what is the transformation? Nashtamoha smritirlabdva tvat prasadat mayachyuta sthitotsmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Complete transformation. Arjuna says, Nashta moha, all moha is gone. Smritir labdva, I realize who am I, what is my duty, what I am supposed to do, what is dharma. Tvat prasadat mayachyuta, it is because of you, Krishna, by your prasad I got this. Sthitosmi, now I am fully situated as the warrior. Gata sandeha, all Sunday is gone. Karishye vachanam tava. So the beauty of Krishna is yathechasi tatha kuru, and the beauty of Arjuna is Karishye vachanam tava, right? And this is how another transformation also takes place. When Arjuna hears the news of destruction of the Yadu dynasty, which is purely a pastime of the Lord, because Yadus, they are like very, very gentle, amazing personalities. But Lord wants to wind up the pastime, Lord wants to give respect to Gandhari's curse, Lord wants to accomplish so many things with one activity. And he performs this. And Arjuna is coming back, and we know that pastime that Arjuna has to face the defeat. And he's standing in front of Yudhishthir, completely distraught. And Yudhishthir is asking so many questions, and he's asking so many questions because he doesn't want to ask that final question. Is the Yadu dynasty still there, or they are departed? And then Arjuna is feeling such a separation from the Supreme Lord. And finally, what does Arjuna do? He takes shelter of Bhagavad Gita and then becomes completely situated. And this is how Bhagavad Gita is a book of transformation, giving complete clarity and siddhanta and action. And there is no hodgepodge in Bhagavad Gita. Like, the Abrahamic world, they are not able to decide whether the animal has a soul or not. Tree has a soul or not. That ahar, nidra, bhaya, everything that animal is also doing. And we say that animal is also doing all the 4 activities, human is also doing the 4 activities, they are also conscious, they are also display feelings. So why they don't have a soul? But there is no clarity. Right, this is the picture. So what the Abrahamic religion says, they say that, no, animals have spirit, but they don't have soul. Okay. And Prabhupada, to put final period, full stop, Prabhupada said, everybody is spirit soul. Okay, so this is the clarity that Bhagavad Gita offers. Bhagavad Gita will not leave anything unturned, hodgepodge, nothing. Bhagavad Gita will give choice, but it will not keep things hodgepodge. Right? So this is the beauty of, this is the depth of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is also a book which offers a balance between karma and jnana. When we see karma kanda, there is so much of stress and enjoyment, right? That, you go to the heavenly planets, enjoy with this apsara, that apsara, somras, this, that. And, person is like bewildered. People think that, what is this kind of is there spiritual literature or material literature? And if you come to Jnana Kanda, there is so much stress on Vairagya that, everything is zero, nothing is this, that. So either the extreme of extreme attachment to extreme detachment, Bhagavad Gita very beautifully reconciles both karma and jnana in the bhakti. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful clarity. This clarity is not there in the Upanishads and the Vedas also. There is a beautiful verse, HareKrishna Prabhu was quoting this, that Shabda Jala Maharanye na bhuktaye na muktaye. If you study Veda and Upanishad, neither you will be able to enjoy, neither you will be able to get liberation. Na muktaye, na bhuktaye. Neither enjoy, no liberation. Right? But Bhagavad, and therefore when Indologists, they came to India, Max Mullers and others, they got so thoroughly confused. And therefore they say, no, one person cannot write all these things. Vedas must have been written 8th century, 9th century, 10th century, Rig Veda in 12th century. They tried to date Vedas. And they said that no, Vedas, they have different languages, means levels of Sanskrit. That means it must be written by different people. Also they said that this must be written by different levels of evolution of Sanskrit. Muhyanti Atsurya. This is how the Supreme Lord bewilders those who are not surrendered unto this. And they are also not in a way wrong, because Upanishads also speak like this. Like there is Kena Upanishad. And Kena Upanishad begins every shloka with small Upanishad. Kenaha. And say, who is that? Only question is asked. Second, who is that? Only question is asked. So you will have some 10-20 question, and when you say, but what is the answer? And Mother Parvati, Durga Devi, she will come and she will say, Brahma. And then you say, what is Brahma? Episode closed. Book is over. So there is no absolute clarity in the Upanishad. Some Upanishads say, there was a husband and he had 3 wives. One was yellow, one was black, and one was red. And they will tell such a story, yellow, black and red, and person is saying, husband, 3 wives, yellow, black and red. They forget that they are talking about living entity and 3 modes of material nature. That there is Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Right? So Upanishads, they are open-ended and not directly conclusive, but the Bhagavad Gita doesn't like that. Bhagavad Gita is fully conclusive, and Bhagavad Gita gives extreme clarity. And finally, it concludes with, it reconciles with bhakti. So Arjuna's question is, Krishna is saying, Krishna, should I act? Krishna said, yes, you have to act. If I act, and should I enjoy? Krishna says, no, you cannot enjoy. And then Arjuna said, then why should I act? Krishna says, for duty. And he said, duty to whom? To me. This is the clarity of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the beautiful verse. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sangostava karmani. So this is a very beautiful thing. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Right. So way back in 1998, Sarvalakshan Prabhu will be happy with this story. Okay. कभी भी हम भी book distribution करते थे बहुत. Okay. And we used to go to Pune, Shivaji Nagar, and there are some hot spots of book distribution. So we used to go Shivaji Nagar, and within Shivaji Nagar also you should go to Pune Nashik bus, that that Asiad bus that time. Now it is like Shivaneri bus, and there you go distribute Bhagavad Gita. Me and Patit Pawan Prabhu used to go. No time used to distribute Bhagavad Gita like this, and just come back. So suddenly, hearing our score, people realized, ये कुछ तो छुपा रहे हैं अपने से. Sthan they are, anybody goes to that place, they can distribute the books. And they said that, Prabhuji, we also want to go. I said, we are going there, how can you go? And then whole thing reached to Radhesham Prabhu. And then I just put the book back to Radhesham Prabhu. I said, Prabhuji, I am neither attached to, the number 1, 2 book distributor, which I was. Okay. But this is the way how you say, right? You say, Mama, I don't want chocolate. And the mama said, no, I want. And then I told him that this is the book bag, this is the book distribution. You only decide what is to be done. So Radhesham said, have you heard this verse in Bhagavad Gita? Karmanyeva adhikaraste. I said, yes, Prabhuji, ma phaleshu kadachanat. Take the book bag. I said, no, what is the next line? Next line is a little difficult to understand. Ma karma phala heturbhur. You should not be attached to the result of your book distribution. And then why to do? Mate sangostava karma. Do it for the Supreme Lord. Right. So Krishna says, should you act? Yes. Should you enjoy? No. Then why should I act? For the sake of duty. It is very important, because now people ask this question, Prabhuji, what is the use? हमारे माता पिता है, हम 3 बच्चे हैं, only I am doing everything of my mother and father, other 2 are just enjoying their life, and they are enjoying their life. कुछ bad भी नहीं हो रहा है उनके life में, मेरे life में कुछ good भी नहीं हो रहा है, उनके life में कुछ bad भी नहीं हो रहा है. Why should I do? Why should I do this? Krishna's answer is, for the sake of duty. Next life you'll enjoy, if Krishna wants it to be. So this is very important. For the sake of duty, one has to do the activity, right? And for duty towards whom? Duty towards the Supreme Lord. So I'll take 10 more minutes without looking at Yugal Shyam Prabhu. So I think he has left. That's what I'm assuming now. Bhagavad Gita is also a book which is, which resolves all the contradictions. Like when you speak of, when it is infinity, when we approach infinity, there is contradiction. Even in modern science, when you approach infinity, you integrate 0 to infinity. But when you approach infinity, there is contradiction. There is a question mark there. Like, we often discuss this, like the latest physics theory is quantum physics. And the essence of quantum physics is you cannot travel greater than the speed of light. That is the essence of quantum physics. Okay. And E is equal to mc2. Now the universe, with the modern understanding, till the time we had the Hubble's telescope. Okay. Apna Hubble constant wala Hubble. Under his name, the telescope, Hubble's telescope. They said the universe is 14 billion years old and the dimension of the universe is 92 billion light years. To put it simply, that means universe is expanding something like 7 to 8 times the speed of light, heavily questioning Einstein's theory of relativity. So what it means is when you approach infinity, there are contradictions. But Krishna is such a personality. Within personality of Krishna, all contradictions are resolved. He is Yad Bibheti Swayam Bhayam. He is Rudantam Muhur Netra. He is afraid of Mother Yashoda. He can lift Govardhan Hill. He cannot lift chappal, sandals of Nanda Maharaj. He can at once say, at once in a way destroy the entire Yadu dynasty. And he is a henpecked husband of Satyabhama, fighting for that Parijat tree. So all the contradictions, they beautifully resolve within the personality of Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is infinity. Many times people are confused by these two verses. Okay, so we'll recite this one. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham te shuvasthitaha nachamatstani bhutani paschame yogamaishwaram bhutabhrunna cha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So the Lord says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina, and very next he says, Matsthani sarva bhutani, and next verse says, Nachamasthani bhutani. Immediate verses. Commentators, when they are writing commentary, they said, Krishna is confused here. Because 9.4 Krishna is saying everybody is in me, and Krishna is saying that I am not in them, and Krishna is only confused. Point is not Krishna is confused, point is the commentator is confused. Right? Because Acharya has explained what Krishna is explaining in 9.4 is, he says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina means he is explaining Brahma Jyoti. Then, Matsthani sarva bhutani, he is explaining Paramatma feature of the Lord. Nachaham teshu vastitaha, he is explaining, the Yogam Aishwaram, he is explaining the Bhagavan feature of the Lord. So the Supreme Lord is, so this is how Bhagavad Gita is a book which will resolve all the contradictions. He is greatest of the great. He is most approachable. He is the infinite. He is the Parth Sarthi. So this is how Bhagavad Gita, it resolves all the contradictions. There are many commentaries which are written on Bhagavad Gita. So the first notable commentary was written by Shankaracharya, Shankara Bhashya. Shankara Bhashya was written for a purpose, because before Shankaracharya, entire the land of Bharatvarsha was Bauddha mat, because after, we know the evolution, how it happened. With the start of Kali Yuga, the Yagya Sthali became just like a slaughterhouse. People were doing Rajsu Yagya, Gomed Yagya, killing the animals, and as a prasad eating the animals. So it just became a slaughterhouse, right? And then there was a sudden emergency incarnation of Buddha Dev, and he said that, no, you cannot do this kind of a Yagya. And they said, no, it is recommended in Vedas. Buddha said, reject Vedas. Ahimsa paramo dharma. And, Buddha was so influential, Buddha Dev, that, people kept aside the Vedas, started their life, and Buddha mat was the final mat. But now, the Vedas has to be introduced, because they are Mata, Veda Mata. Vedas will going to tell who is the father, just like the mother tells who is the father to the child. Vedas are going to tell who is the supreme father. And then Shankaracharya appeared. So there is a beautiful conversation in Padma Puran which says, Maya vadam asat shastram prachannam bodhyam uchyate, that he says that my dear wife, Durga, he is saying that I personally come as Brahmana Batu Murtina, and I personally spread this Mayavad, which is like, so Shankaracharya came, and to bring back the Vedas, he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which is called as Sharirika Bhashya, where he proposed he put forward this impersonalism, theory of impersonalism. Within 50 years, another great Vaishnava Acharya, Bhaskaracharya, he came forward and he wrote commentary refuting the commentary of Shankaracharya. So these are the two first commentary. So first one is Adi Shankara and then the commentary by Bhaskaracharya. The next commentary was written by Ramanujacharya. Ramanuja said there is a Vishishtadvaita, Advaita, right? Qualified non-dualism, that was Ramanujacharya. And then came Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya's victory sign is only two. He said that God and you completely different. There's no question of you being God and God being you, nothing. No hodgepodge. Two. Like Bhima coming. So he said, you see Bhima also here, Hanumanji, he was incarnation of them. And he coined the term Mayavad, the first time in a bigger way. After Madhvacharya, there was a beautiful commentary written by Sridhar Swami. This is called as Gita Subodhini Tika. Okay, so Sridhar Swami wrote this commentary. After that, there was a commentary written by Madhusudan Saraswati. And Madhusudan Saraswati from Varanasi, extreme level of scholarship. He actually, he went to Navadvip to study Nyaya. Oh, beauty. Our own Navadvip. He went to Navadvip to study the Nyaya Shastra, became expert in Nyaya, came back to Varanasi, and by visiting Navadvip, he became a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Although he followed technically a Shankarmat, and he wrote a commentary, Gudartha Deepika. This was the commentary, and this commentary became very, very famous. In fact, it became so famous that people felt nothing greater and better can be written than this commentary. And even our Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he was in love with this commentary of, Madhusudan Saraswati, Gudartha Deepika. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he used to say, Shri Madhusudan Saraswati Padanam. This is how he used to refer Madhusudan Saraswati with plural and great reverence. And, this is how he used to refer. The next commentary came by somebody from Maharashtra, Neelakantha Chakradhar, Chaturdhar. So Chaturdhar, from this Chaturdhar, later it became Chaudhary, right? So Neelakantha Chaturdhar was the personality from Kopargaon. He was also a great scholar, great devotee. Not only Bhagavad Gita, he wrote entire commentary on Mahabharata. So this is the commentary on Mahabharata that he has written. And also he wrote a Tika on Bhagavad Gita, which is a very famous Tika on Bhagavad Gita. And then came celebrated Tika of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is a Rasika Acharya, and he wrote the Sarartha Varshani Tika, which is like Rasika Tika, commentary. Tika means commentary. This is not Marathi Tika, Tika Karne, not that Tika. Okay, this is Hindi Tika, means commentary he wrote, Vishwanath Chakravarti. But later, after Vishwanath Chakravarti, people used to feel that, he only wrote Rasika commentary. Where is the philosophy? So his disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan, he wrote another commentary, and which is called as Rasika Ranjan and Vidvat Ranjan Tika. So if you are Rasika, there is one commentary for you, Rasika Ranjan. And if you are Vidvat, there is another Tika for you, Vidvat Ranjan. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, and you know that Srila Prabhupada offers Bhagavad Gita to Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, who has written such a beautiful commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Govinda Bhashya. That is the page of Bhagavad Gita, right? Prabhupada offers. Later, after Baladev Vidyabhushan, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur added his own nectarian pastimes, and he further that commentary of Rasika Ranjan and Vidvat Ranjan commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then the commentary was written by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada wrote the next commentary, which is Bhagavad Gita as it is, Jashi Ahe Tashi Yatha Roop. Okay. So this Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada, so different commentary has different highlights of those commentary. Prabhupada's commentary is Prabhupada translated everything into bhakti. Because Prabhupada said this book is for Kali Yuga Jeev, where the attention span is so small, right? Previously the attention span was like, people used to watch some 2 hours, 3 hours of YouTube videos. Now that became 8 minutes. Or Ajay Gauram Prabhu can testify this. Nowadays people say 8 minutes nahi, 1 minute YouTube short ही देखते हैं लोग, short में भी आगे जाते हैं. So you have to convey your message in less than 45 seconds because people will just move on. But they are just doing this. They are not watching what is going on. So Prabhupada said, in such a situation, if I to write Karma Yoga as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga as Jnana Yoga, and everything as everything, then people, by the time they end Karma Yoga, they will end their reading of Bhagavad Gita. So in every purport, Srila Prabhupada introduced Bhagavad Bhakti. Prabhupada said, Prabhupada was feeling that people may or may not read purport if they read translation. So in translation also Prabhupada introduced bhakti. So even if one reads translation, half a purport or something, they will get the message. And this is, the most revolutionary edition which is creating great revolution across the world. So Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, it created thousands of devotees. People changed their lifestyle, people changed their dress style. Kono Rashtra Bhed, Kono Jati Bhed, Kono Dharma Bhed, Kono Bheda Bhed Nahi. Jayapataka Maharaj beautifully says this. And Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita created this. What was this? Bringing spiritual revolution in the inauspicious life of misdirected civilization. Srila Prabhupada ki. So this is the Bhagavad Gita that has come to us. And Prabhupada was referring all the previous commentaries of 15 Acharyas. Prabhupada, when he's writing the purport, it is as good as reading the 15 Acharyas commentaries, the quintessence of that commentary. And, Prabhupada wrote this beautiful Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is, practically changing the world in a very big way. We are just at the introductory part of ISKCON, right? ISKCON mission has just started right now. And in a time to come, there is a prediction about Prithvi te ache, yada nagaradigram, sarvatra prachar hoibe moranam. That the message of Lord Chaitanya, message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam will spread far and wide through the medium of ISKCON. And this is today. So today we should take this Bhagavad Gita distribution on ourselves. We have to go out and distribute people. If we are not able to give time, at least we should sponsor Bhagavad Gita. This is the message which is like, mother is writing to the lost child, right? Mother or father is writing to the lost son. This is the message Krishna has written for all the living entities. So once again, I thank all the devotees whose lectures I have referred, primarily HareKrishna Prabhu, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, His Grace Radhesham Prabhu, and many other devotees. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Mokshada Ekadashi ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हिज ग्रेस मुकुंदानंद प्रभु, इतना सुंदर तरीके से उन्होंने भगवत गीता जयंती के उत्सव पर श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास दिया, गीता के महत्व बारे में हमें बताया। तो ये कार्यक्रम को आगे चलाते हुए अभी यहाँ पे 15 मिनट में भगवत गीता का रिसाइटेशन शुरू हो रहा है। तो पूरे भगवत गीता के 18 अध्याय जो है हम इसका नॉन स्टॉप रिसाइटेशन करेंगे। तो ये जो हॉल है इसका थोड़ा रीअरेंजमेंट हम कर रहे हैं। यहाँ पे पिलर टू पिलर बैरिकेड्स लगेंगे, तो माता जी जो है वो राइट साइड में बैठ सकते हैं और प्रभु जी लेफ्ट साइड में। और 10 बजे प्रसादम कूपन का भी वितरण किया जाएगा। तो जो भक्त भगवत गीता के रिसाइटेशन में सहभाग ले रहे हैं उनके लिए 12:30 के एक बीच में प्रसाद शुरू होगा, वो भक्ति वेदांत हॉल में होगा। तो सभी भक्तों से रिक्वेस्ट है, जिनको पॉसिबल है कृपया इस भगवत गीता रिसाइटेशन में सहभाग लीजिए और इस महोत्सव का आनंद लीजिए। हरे कृष्णा।